It's happened. It's happened. This is a headline in Bloomberg News. Crackdown targets inversions designed to limit U.S. taxes. The U.S. Treasury Department announced, this just came out, steps that will make it harder for U.S. companies to move their addresses outside the country to reduce their taxes, clamping down on the practice known as inversions. The rules, which apply to deals that close today or after, include a prohibition on hopscotch loans that let companies access foreign cash without paying U.S. taxes and impose new curbs on actions that companies can take to make an inversion transaction qualify for favorable tax treatment, even without more authority from Congress or aggressive steps that former government officials had advocated. The new rules are expected to give companies and advisors pause and require recalculation of some pending deals. Now, a couple of things. I just read to you something that is almost incomprehensible. It doesn't explain what inversions are. It doesn't explain the context of inversions. What, did inversions just pop up today? Here's two things you do know if you listen to this program. Number one, the Secretary of the Treasury does not have the power to rewrite tax statutes. He does not have the power to rewrite the Internal Revenue Code, and yet he just did. Number two, this will be cheered by the mob, by the media, and the rest, because it's another cause celeb. Oh, and then there's the third point. This will not create wealth in this country. This will not create opportunity and jobs in this country. As a matter of fact, the inverse will happen, if I may use their word. Because once again, the hands of our companies are tied, whereas companies all over the world have more favorable tax treatment by their home countries than our companies do in our home country. So this is another mob/populist/status attack on, quote-unquote, the system. And notice every single reform, quote-unquote, every single fix, quote-unquote, does what? It empowers central government. It empowers politicians. It empowers their appointments. Nobody elected this guy, Lou, to anything. Now, he has more power on the future of these companies when it comes to these tax issues than the companies themselves. Why? Why? Do they know how to create jobs? Of course not. Was Obama elected because he knew how to create jobs? No. Obama's never created any jobs. Was he elected because he knew how to create wealth? No. Obama's never created wealth, other than 2 books that were ghostwritten, but that's beside the point. He's never invented anything, nothing. And then he knows how to run the oil industry, the automobile industry. He knows who to tax the harshest. He knows all these things. How come? Because he's driven by ideology. He's driven by a movement, not by rational thinking, not by knowledge. Go down the list. Everything the left touches is not driven by knowledge, rational thinking, experience. It's driven by ideology. Inversions are said to be bad, so go after them by hook or by crook. The ends justifies the means. I'll tell you something else that's interesting when you watch these people protest as if they're really rebels, you know. They protest on a Sunday because it's inconvenient to protest on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You know, they leave the TV or film stage, fly into New York, protest, and then fly out of New York. These aren't rebels. These are frauds. There's no real personal cost to playing the role of a rebel. There's no cost to a college student. There's no cost to a union leader. There's no cost to a Hollywood actor or actress. No cost whatsoever. That's the thing about a free country. You can pretend you're a rebel. You can pretend you're Don Quixote. But you're none of those things. You know, real rebels have something on the line. Real rebels put their lives on the line. Their families' lives on the line. Whatever they've accumulated during their life is on the line. You can see real rebels all over the world. You can see them part of Europe. You can see them part of South America. You can see them in parts of Africa and the Middle East. Real rebels who risk everything just by speaking out, just by organizing, just by going on the internet, just by tweeting something. Those are rebels. These people are a joke, an absolute joke. And yet it's not a joke to you and me because they're destructive. They're destroying property rights. They're destroying individual liberty. They're empowering a central government. And so the irony is not lost on us, but it's obviously lost on most, that Robert F. Kennedy is one of the leaders of this movement. RFK Jr. And I dare say if his name wasn't Robert F. Kennedy Jr., nobody would give a crap about Robert F. But there he is, marching. I mean, really, it's almost, a Monty Python movie or something. I mean, you got people marching against global warming. It's like marching against the sun. It's like marching against Mother Nature. So you're marching. So what? The problem is, here on Earth, they want to use the power of government to coerce us, to smother us, to destroy our lifestyles and our livelihoods. This is no joke. Ask the men and women who work in coal mines and steel mills. You know what's happening to our commercial fisheries? They're being destroyed. You like that fish? I want to eat healthy. I want some salmon. Well, guess what? They're under attack. Think this food just go into the supermarket or the grocery store and there it is? No, somebody has to actually raise it or catch it. They claim to represent the people. This is a perfectly typical communist tactic. The People's Revolution. The People's Army. The People's Party. It's tyranny. Did they get your vote? They didn't get mine. Here he is. Cut one. Go.
What I'm concerned with is the kind of damage that's being caused by...
Let's start over. Why do they all sound like Katharine Hepburn, these Kennedys? Why do they... They do, don't they? Go ahead.
What I'm concerned with is the kind of damage that's being caused by Exxon and the Koch brothers and by the oil wars that we've spent $4 trillion on over the last 10 years. And the only thing between us and that kind of future, where the oil companies have subverted our democracy and are running our foreign policy and running our domestic policy, is people power. They have the money on their side. We have the people on our side.
It's very difficult to listen to because he sounds like a weirdo in substance and in tone, because he is a weirdo. The oil wars, the Koch brothers, Exxon, $4 trillion the last 10 years to do what? What is he talking about? To subvert our democracy? How is this propaganda any different than Fidel Castro or the late pathetic Hugo Chavez or any long line of third world Marxists or even second world Marxists? How is this any different than that? It's not. You create these boogeymen. Exxon. Oh, I hate Exxon. Oh, and the Koch brothers. Oh, the Koch brothers. Let me tell you something, Robert. The Koch brothers earned their money the old-fashioned way, legally. Your grandfather earned his money because he was a crook. I hate to say it. Joe Sr. was a crook. Nobody knew that better than FDR. That's right. So you should be talking, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., about the Koch brothers, who earned their money honestly, unlike your family. They were running booze during Prohibition. They played the stock market in ways that created all kinds of changes and rules and so forth. Oh, and did I mention that his granddad was a big supporter of Adolf Hitler early on in the war, so bad that when Joe Sr. was ambassador to the court of St. James, a.k.a. Britain, FDR had to yank him because he was communicating with the Nazis through back channels. Oh, nobody ever told you that? Now, that would clearly ruin any Republican's future, wouldn't it? Oh, but Joe out there, Katharine Hepburn voice. Oh, it's Exxon and the Koch brothers. Cut two, go.
I don't believe that we have to reduce our quality of life in order to have a rational free market.
Stop. So here this guy has concluded you don't have to reduce your quality of life. Let me ask you folks something. Think about it a second. If there were massive reductions in electricity, natural gas, and oil, all of which or part of which or some of which you use in your home, in your apartment, in your automobile, in your daily lives, would that affect your life in any significant way? Would brownouts and blackouts affect your life in any significant way? You know, those computers you use and the automobiles you drive and the lights you need and so forth. Would that affect anything? How about those OPEC shortages? Some of us are old enough to remember that. When people were waiting in line for hours and hours and hours to get a couple of gallons of gasoline, a couple of gallons, and we had Certain days of the week was your day when you can get gas. You know, the good old days when America became East Germany. You remember that? Some of us remember that. Well, this is what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is up to. They want to, and I use this phrase all the time. I should have coined it and copyrighted it. I did coin it. I should have They want to deindustrialize America. That's what they want to do. Deindustrialize America. And they're doing a pretty damn good job of it. These people have never produced a damn thing. Never. I mean, the fact of the matter is, they want to make you poor. Well, look at the world, parts of the world that don't have access to energy. These are spoiled brats. That's essentially what they are. Spoiled kooks. These are people who never fully got through puberty from a mental point of view. Maybe a physical one too, but who am I to judge? Certainly a mental point of view. They're still stuck in puberty, maybe prepubescent maturity or lack thereof. And they throw out these utopian things, you know, like, there's no reason to reduce the quality of life. We need a rational free market. The free market is rational by definition. It's irrational for somebody like this or a handful of others, what I call masterminds, to be imposing their will and telling you what a rational free market is. It all sounds good. We need a rational free market. Free market is rational. What's irrational is government. And by the way, how's that Obamacare going? Today they announced 700,000 people fell out of the system. So we've destroyed our healthcare system, and some of you haven't felt it yet, but you will, particularly those of you who work for larger companies and larger businesses. You're about to have that anvil fall on your head, too. People are actually dropping out. They're not re-signing. They're not paying. Such is the groundswell, the juggernaut for government-run centralized healthcare. I'll be right back.